What's up, guys? Welcome back to Airbnb ABCs. If you guys have been following any sort of social media, especially TikTok and some of the YouTube channels, Instagram, what have you, there has been a lot of talk recently about a term that's come about with short-term rentals called the Airbnbust. And what this is just a phenomenon that's going on that a lot of people are getting behind, a lot of people are even rooting for, especially folks that feel like short-term rentals have in some way contributed to this housing market crisis. And then my own personal least favorite is just folks out there who like to see people fail, who haven't been able to either achieve what they wanted to in life or just want to see people fail, and are hoping that these folks with the short-term rentals that have been making quite a bit of money over the last couple of years come to an end. What is this Airbnbust? What caused it? And more importantly, how you can avoid becoming a victim of the Airbnbust. And if you guys are already in a position where you may be feeling kind of vulnerable, what you guys can do about it. But first, if you don't mind, go down there, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything I put out on this channel. Hit the like button to help this video out. And we're gonna get right into what is the cause of the Airbnbust and what you can do to avoid it. So starting around the time that the pandemic started with the COVID-19 stuff, we started to see a huge rise in the demand for Airbnbs as far as travel and as far as people buying them to host, because folks were looking at what they had in maybe their long-term rentals or what they were looking at in the stock market, and they started looking at these short-term rentals, and folks were putting things on the internet, TikTok, YouTube, the same places that are that the people that are for this Airbnbust are on. They started seeing folks publishing stuff where people were making 30, 50, 100% cash on cash returns in just 1 year, and a lot of folks got into that. The thing that really helped fuel this whole Airbnb craze was a combination of several things, including relatively low prices on inventory. It was still higher than the past 10 years or so, but not as high as it got in 21 and 22. Low interest rates because of the shutdowns from the pandemic and the government trying to stimulate the economy. So they lowered interest rates, making the barrier to entry much lower and enabling people to purchase larger properties than what they could. And then this desire for travel, because a lot of folks were scared of the COVID-19 virus and they weren't going to hotels, they weren't going to resorts, they weren't flying internationally. And so they were looking for private places where they wouldn't have to interact with a lot of folks, and Airbnbs, VRBOs, short-term rentals in general kind of fit the bill for that. Instead of seeking out these traditional vacation rental markets, these very strong areas, a lot of folks went into places where the Airbnbs had never really been before, and where they could pick up properties relatively cheaply, put them on Airbnb, and get bookings. And for the time being, during COVID-19 and the adjacent 6 months or so, that worked pretty well. But then folks started noticing at around the middle of 2022 and now rolling into 2023 that in a lot of places where they had invested, the bookings weren't coming in as strong as they were during the COVID-19 crisis, or the rates weren't as high and they couldn't generate as much revenue for their property as they would before. This was sometimes compounded by people who had bought properties that were far outside of their budget, that were probably priced too high for the area, too high for the normal income rate for these places, and they found themselves in a struggle with being able to produce enough income to pay their mortgage, to pay their expenses, and make some money on the side. And so that is where we're going to get into today. And these are the three things that I think that you guys are really going to be able to look at and use to avoid making these same mistakes and ending up either in this Airbnbust or maybe one in the future, or just in general, I think, are good practices for investing in short-term rentals that are going to provide cash flow. Now, this does not really take into account if you're just looking to buy a vacation property and offset some of the income or some of the expenses for that with some Airbnb or VRBO short-term rental income. This is geared mostly towards folks who want to purchase these properties, rent them out, and generate a substantial profit and a substantial return on your investment. So the three things that I've really identified as being contributing factors to not having a very successful run in the short-term rental market are buying in the wrong area, and I think that this is the number one thing that really jacks people up, buying the wrong type of properties. Even if you're in the right area, you can purchase the wrong type of property, and then also paying too much or having too high of expenses. Then again, all these things can either be individual, or you can do them all in one particular area and just really get yourself in a jam. But we're gonna start off with buying in the wrong area. When you are looking for a short-term rental, a vacation rental, the ones that you want to generate large amounts of money because people are spending money on vacation, so they're more likely to spend more than they would just getting a place down the street for whatever reason. You want to be in these very, very hot vacation rental market areas. For me, that is the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. You can also look at the Gulf Coast of Florida. That is a solid rental destination for a large majority of the United States and probably even the international world. Other places such as like the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina, maybe Joshua Tree, and some of the other places that have kind of made a name of vacation rentals, but don't necessarily have the big names such as Smoky Mountains and the marketing that goes along with that, or the Florida Gulf Coast, I'm not so attracted to versus, like I said, those major players. And then if you start looking at maybe like a regional location, like maybe your favorite lake that you go to, that is probably not going to be a strong year-round driving of tourism from a large area where you're going to have money coming in all year round. So for me, the right area to invest in is one of these major vacation areas, and that's going to come with the negatives of probably much higher property cost and a lot more competition for the properties that are available. But if you want to do this and you want to succeed, it's always best to be running with the big dogs, playing in the big leagues, and being where the action is. The second mistake that I think is going to get lots of people in a jam, either right now during this Airbnbust time or just any time in the future, is buying the wrong type of property. Even if you're in one of these super high demand areas, you can absolutely buy the wrong type of property. When folks come to the Smoky Mountains, they are either going to stay, most folks are going to stay in one of two types of places. They're either going to want to be right downtown in the action, probably at a hotel. That is a definite demographic. There's people that want to just walk right down the strip, walk back. The other type of people want to stay in a log cabin. And now there's several different flavors of those. You can still have the ones that are relatively in town. You can have the ones that are in a resort style facility where they're kind of stacked on top of each other, but they have things like community pools and weight rooms and event venues and things like that. And then there are also ones that are sort of tucked away, alone in the woods, or, just out in the woods without a whole lot of neighbors close by. The key to this being is that they are log cabins. That's what people are looking for. And so there used to be a large contingent of vacation rentals down there that would be what they call chalets, where they sort of have an alpine look, but they're mostly drywall on the inside. And these have definitely fallen out of favor with renters. And I've heard a lot of people that are having problems renting these mostly drywall, even with good views, but not a log cabin with a log cabin interior with the, that log architecture that people just want to see when they go down there. And it's almost 100% of the time a contributing factor to folks not doing as well as they would have, as they thought that they would have. Also, just making sure that you have the amenities that people are looking for. You need to have a hot tub in the Smokies. A mountain view definitely helps, and it will definitely set your property apart from any of the rest. You have to make sure that your place is updated, that it has, good pictures and all that. But the main point is to buy the property that people are coming to that area to go to, that they will pay the premium price for. It might mean that you have to pay a premium price, but it will generate more revenue. If you're in a beach market, people that come to the beach want to be able to see the ocean from their accommodations. So that means that you're either looking at an oceanfront a house, or a maybe second or maybe third row house that has a view of the beach. It may not be walk out and it's a 360 degree view, but at least be able to see the ocean from your balcony, from the ground, from somewhere. That is the key. And then it should have that coastal vibe to it, coastal pastel colors. I really like the houses that are up on stilts. I always find that to be just a kind of a beachy type of house and the beach decor and all the things that would go in with a beach rental. If you put a log cabin on a beach rental that you can't even see the beach from, it's going to be all the wrong thing. Same deal in the mountains. If you put a beach decor, it's just not going to work. So always make sure that you're looking for the right property. Most cases, if you're looking at condos and such like that, that can be done at the beach. And if you are looking at condos, I would highly recommend that you be on a beachfront type of thing, because if you're going back from the beach, you're probably would want to have a house versus a condo. In a mountain type of thing, my opinion, avoid the condos altogether. Either buy a single family home, log cabin type of thing, or leave the hotel room type atmosphere to the hotels where they really stand out in that niche. The third thing is paying too much. This is kind of a catch-22, because if you want to be in one of these super hot vacation rental market areas, you're going to have to deal with a lot of competition for people buying, and that's going to drive the prices up. So you need to really be conscious and not get too excited over one particular property, and make sure that you are not paying too much, because you can do everything right. You can buy in the right area, it can be the right property, it can be everything. Everything can be perfect. But if your holding costs outweigh your ability to generate income, it's not going to be a successful investment. I don't care where it is located. And that may be one thing where you have to either just wait on the market to turn. You might have to wait for interest rates to come down. You may just have to wait for that deal that people are missing, and that is how we have gotten all three of our cabins. We bought in the very highest demand time, the very highest prices, and we always got our cabins either at contract value or at asking price, under asking price. We always got them below what the rest of the cabins around us were going for, and it took patience. It took multiple offers. It took us really sitting down and just being patient, going after the ones that we wanted hard, and closing those deals so that we could make things work for the seller and we could make it work for us and not pay too much. The biggest thing, and this is the biggest takeaway from this entire video, is that you cannot buy crappy properties and expect them to do well in the short-term rental space. Just think about you as a renter. If you were going to these places, would you want to go to either some marginal property and spend your vacation there, or are you going to spend a few extra dollars and go to the place that you want to go to with all the things that you want and get everything that you want for your vacation? You have to always consider what you're doing and not just throw money after whatever fad idea is going on right now in the market. This is how we got to this Airbnbust era, and you do not have to be a victim of it by just simply following these three things and then just using good common sense and thinking, is this a good place to go on vacation? Are there a lot of people going on vacation here? Is this the type of property that people are looking for? And am I paying too much for it? Will I be able to realistically generate a profit on this property, considering the revenues of 2021, 2022, and what we think it is going to be going forward, without that gigantic boost of tourism from people essentially being locked down and pent up with their travel, wants and needs. So guys, click on these videos on the screen here. They're going to tell you all about the kind of properties that we buy, how we manage them from several hundred miles away, and all the trials and tribulations of running a short-term rental Airbnb, VRBO business. I appreciate you guys watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.